Latvia becomes the 18th member of the Eurozone. Latvia has become the 18th member of the Euro currency bloc. The EU approved its bid in the summer after the Baltic nation bounced back from recessions to record impressive growth. Latvia's Prime Minister Valdis Dombrovskis withdrew a €10 note as pyrotechnics lit the sky above Riga shortly after the midnight on Wednesday. The premier promised that the introduction of the currency would open up a new period of economic progress. It's a big opportunity for Latvia's economic development, said Dombrovskis, stressing that avoiding excessive debt through responsible spending was key to any further success. The euro, is not an excuse not to pursue a responsible fiscal and macroeconomic policy, he said. European Commission President Jose Manuel Barroso welcomed Latvia's membership in a statement. This is a major event, not only for Latvia, but for the euro area itself, which remains stable, attractive, and open to new members, he said. ECB Central Bank Chief Mario Draghi called Latvia a role model as far as fiscal adjustment is concerned. In an interview with the news agency AFP, despite the fireworks and flamboyance, there remains widespread unease in Latvia about joining the single currency. As the country's post-Soviet currency, the lat was much cherished as a symbol of independence from Moscow. Meanwhile, there are mixed views about just how much the outlook for the euro has recovered on international currency markets. A real estate bubble during the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009 threw Latvia into recession. In order to avoid bankruptcy, the country's prime minister secured a bailout from the European Union and the International Monetary Fund (IMF) worth €7.5 billion, 10.23 billion and also stirred Latvia toward deep austerity measures. The move was credited with the country's 5% economic growth recorded for the 2011-2012 fiscal year, the top growth rate in the European Union at the time. 1 in 4 fear euro. The introduction of the new currency comes some 2 decades after Riga adopted the lat and has concerned some in Latvia of increased foreign influence on the Baltic countries' economy. Moreover, a 5% jump in inflation in neighboring Estonia, which switched currencies in 2011, has raised fears that the euro could cause more harm than good. SKDS polls taken in December indicated that disapproval of the new currency had dropped slightly among the Latvia's 2 million inhabitants, falling to about 25%. The ECB has reportedly estimated inflation to expand by roughly 2% in Latvia. Latvia joined the European Union in 2005 and was approved to join the Euro Currency Union in early July. It becomes the 18th member of the Eurozone, but only the second Baltic nation and ex-Soviet nation to do so. Lithuania is expected to join the Eurozone at the beginning of 2015. Sportswear giant Adidas eyes growth and expansion in China. Europe's biggest sportswear company, Adidas, has said its expansion plans will focus particularly on China, moving beyond its presence in large cities. The firm said it was on track for record annual turnover. The number one among Europe's sportswear firms, Adidas of Germany, said it was eyeing brisker business in 2014, not least because of the Soccer World Cup in Brazil. We intended to improve our business significantly next year, CEO Herbert Hainer said on Monday in a statement. He added the company was well on track to achieve its turnover target of 17 billion euros, 23.3 billion US dollar by 2015, while facing an uphill battle to meet a profit margin of 11% in the same period. Adidas said this year's business had been impacted by the Eurozone debt crisis, high procurement costs, and a strong euro affecting export. China expansion drive. Nevertheless, the current fiscal year will be the best in the firm's history, Hainer insisted. Will set up a new earning record. The sportswear giant also announced it would aim to expand beyond major Chinese cities into smaller urban areas. We're currently active in 1,000 cities in China, and by the end of 2015, we will be in 1,400. Regional chef Colin Crowley told the German business daily Handelsblatt, adding that 2/3 of the firm's growth in China already came from smaller cities, most of which have fewer than 1 million inhabitants. Japan prepares to take a gamble on casinos. Faced with declining tax revenues and a growing national debt, the Japanese government is considering relaxing its laws banning gambling at casinos. Politicians from 3 of Japan's major political parties in December submitted a bill to Parliament proposing that the outright ban on casinos here be lifted. While there have been similar moves in the past, none have ever got this far and none have ever had such a broad groundswell of support. Arguably, the newfound backing for legalized gambling is the result of the severe financial problems that Japan finds itself in today, most notably the eye-watering figure of public debt running at 214.3% of GDP, the highest in the world. An economist said the long-term outlook for Japan is not particularly bright either. particularly with the rapidly aging population and fewer younger workers coming through and providing taxes to pay for pensions and healthcare costs. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has introduced some dramatic stimulus measures in an effort to get the economy running on all cylinders once again, and plans for casinos fit neatly into that larger project. Watching Singapore. Japan has been looking at the example of Singapore very closely, where the experiments of casinos seems to have been positive to date, and these plans dovetail very neatly with the measures the ruling Liberal Democratic Party has already implemented for growth here, said Andy Herford, head of investment consulting for property firm CBRE in Tokyo. This would be additional stimulus without large amounts of spending and would also mess with the aim of increasing inbound tourist numbers, he said. Japan has set the target of 20 million visitors a year by 2020, and Abe has even gone on record with the ambitious objective of 30 million a year by 2030. Having casinos would be yet another attraction for visitors. And taking into account other nations' experiences with introducing casinos, the results could be spectacularly positive. The Union Gaming Group, the Las Vegas-based analysts of the industry, have estimated that a fully fledged casino industry in Japan could rake in 10.60 billion euros, or 1.5 trillion a year. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch are even more upbeat and put the potential windfall at 14.9 billion euros annually, which would make Japan the second most lucrative gaming market in the world after Macau. Licensing and supervising. The proposal that has been submitted to the Diet is a basic outline of a system for licensing and supervising casinos, and suggests that the creation of a number of special zones where casinos could operate, as long as local authorities were in favor. The politicians have suggested two types of license for operators. One would be aimed at large international companies with huge gaming floors, while the other type would be for smaller venues in coastal towns looking to attract additional domestic travelers. Two locations have been rumored as the initial sites for new gambling facilities: the Odayaba waterfront district in Tokyo and the Mishima district in Osaka. Secondary locations that have also been mentioned include the Shinagawa district of Tokyo, where a large railway marshalling yard is to be redeveloped in the next few years, and Okinawa, which has the added benefit of being a resort destination with sun and beaches. A number of companies have emerged as potential developers of casinos, and it looks very much as if they are again looking at the Singapore model as the best fit for this market, with resorts that include casinos as well as hotels and other attractions making up the package, said Herford. The company behind the Las Vegas Sands Casino has even gone as far as to make a mock-up of how they envisage their planned property on Tokyo Bay will look when it is completed. Not everyone is delighted at the idea of unfettered access to roulette wheels, slots machines, and card tables, however. Impact on society. Yes, it would be a source of revenue for the government, but we also have to look at the negative aspects of gambling on Japanese society. Go Ito, a professor of international relations at Tokyo Meiji University, told DW. Japanese people, up until now, have not really been exposed to this sort of gambling, and there is a fear that they will not understand the potential risk, he said. A lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. Other concerns revolved around young people gaining access to gambling venues, the inevitable impact on the national lottery, the operators of which are lobbying hard against the proposed legal changes, and fears that the vast sum of money being won and lost will prove too tempting a target for Japan's underground group, the Yakuza, to ignore. The proposed changes to the legislation put forward so far are the basics of any reforms, and the politicians behind the bill have been careful to try to assuage any public concern by including calls for the creation of an administrative commission under the Cabinet Office to supervise operations. And this time around, the appetite appears to be there, said Herford. This sort of legislation has been addressed in the Diet before, but it has always failed to proceed, he said. This time, I get the impression that they are pushing it through far more forcefully. It will take a while for the legislation to go through and then to get the casinos built. But I think Japan could have its first operating casinos in the next 5 years or so. UNESCO poised to recognize Japanese cuisine. The rich, complex taste and textures of washoku, or Japanese cooking, could be added to the UN's intangible cultural heritage list as early as December. Julian Royal takes us on a culinary tour of Japanese cuisine, from sushi through ramen noodles, succulent wagyu beef, lightly battered tempura, and all the way down to the individual ingredients that make these Japanese dishes so exceptional. Soy sauce, fresh vegetables, nori seaweed. Japanese food is regarded around the world as exceptional, and rightly so. More restaurants in Tokyo have been awarded Michelin stars than Paris, the self-styled home of gourmets. Japanese food of all styles and flavors can be found from Berlin to Brisbane and many places in between. It is known to be healthy, while dining out does not have to be expensive. Now, UNESCO is on the brink of recognizing just what Japan brings to the world's table with its cuisine, with the preliminarily screaming supporting wasoku, Japanese cuisine, being added to the intangible cultural heritage list, evaluating to a par with French cuisine, Mediterranean dishes, and traditional food from Mexico. The first thing that makes Japanese cooking special is that it's rich in umami, the fifth flavor after sweet, salty, sour, and bitter, said Yukari Sakamoto, which trained as a chef and sommelier in New York and now authors books on Japanese cuisine. An irresistible dish. Umami makes a dish irresistible, she told Deutsche Welle. Take a simple dish of boiled spinach, for example, she said. That's fine, but if steeped in dashi stock, then it will be rich in umami, and even a very basic dish can explode in the mouth. In contrast to French food, which incorporates lots of sauces and utilizes butter and oil, Japanese cuisine is very simple, but still able to provide plenty of rich flavors and textures, Sakamoto says. Some of the dishes that are staples in Japan have been known beyond these shores for many years, but it was the release of the first Michelin Guide to restaurants in Tokyo in November 2007 that suddenly put the spotlight on just how fantastic an experience eating out in the Japanese capital can be. And since then, the fact that Tokyo restaurants have been awarded more stars than Paris has captured the headlines. Tokyo has become the world culinary capital, ahead of Paris, Michelin Guide director Jean-Luc Nollet told a press conference for the unveiling of the guide. We give stars where we find them, and in Tokyo the culinary richness is extraordinary. In that initial guide, 11 restaurants had been awarded 3 of the coveted stars. 42 were identified as 2-star establishments, and a further 144 received 1 star. Culinary capital. Tokyo has retained its position as the culinary capital of the world in subsequent edition the Food Fans Bible, although in truth it has an advantage over Paris in that it has 4 times the 40,000 eating establishments that are to be found in Paris, while new versions have identified yet more top-notch restaurants in Osaka, Kyoto, and on Hokkaido, the most northerly of Japan's main islands. Everybody is hungry for Japanese food, says Sakamoto, which also gives classes in cooking Japanese food and leads food tours in Tokyo, such as through the Tsukiji wholesale market, famous for landing virtually all the seafood that is consumed in and around Tokyo. Before, people just wanted to walk through the market. but now they have become far more knowledgeable about eating Japanese food. They know what good ramen tastes like, and what yakitori and yakoyaki is. These visitors want to understand even more, and they are getting a far richer experience out of their time here, she said. Such is the appeal of Japanese cuisine, and the government's determination to have it recognized around the world, that the authorities here are considering creating a new category of visa that will permit foreign chefs to improve their skills at a Japanese restaurant over a period of 2 years. The aim is to create a new generation of Japanese food evangelists who will help to further spread the word and add to the 55,000 Japanese restaurants that can already be found outside the country. One key task will be to improve the quality and authenticity of the meals served in those establishments. Michelin-starred Quichou. The quality they should strive to achieve can be seen in a restaurant such as Quichou, a Michelin 3-star restaurant in the Arashiyama district of Kyoto. From only the finest quality ingredients to the decor, service, and hospitality. The scent of incense, the arrangement of flowers, or a squirrel chosen to appeal to the customers and the occasion. The attention to detail is minute. Founded by Teichi Yuki more than 80 years ago, the present owner is his grandson, Kunio Tokuoka, and continues to serve meals that are deeply influenced by Japan's age-old tea ceremony. Kaiseki is taking everything that is available and using that to express your feeling to the person who is gracing your presence, said Tokuoka. With the arrival of autumn, Tokuoka and his team of chefs are beginning to work with the ingredients that are coming into their own at this time of the year. A regular delicacy is shrimp croquettes with Kyoto taro and accompanied by grilled sour beans, carrots, and shiitake mushrooms in a creamy sauce made of daikon, radish, clam, onion, and butter. A Tokuoka original is the steamed yuba, wrapped in which a Chinese yam and saltwater ale are surrounded by a wrap of soy milk skin that is a locally made specialty. Mushrooms are as treasured in Japan as truffle are in Europe at this time of year, with another seasonal delight, a combination of matsutake mushroom and pike conger. And as Tokuoka points out, Japan's cuisine is far more than just the remarkable array of tastes and textures. It is also about the way in which the food is presented, the constructing or complementing colors that are used, the scent and the sounds that appeal to our other senses. It is this omotenashi or the Japanese style of hospitality that provides the full experience of a washoku meal.